Are you like me and planning to do a kitchen remodel here in 2025 and are drowning in Pinterest boards trying to figure out which kitchen trends are in and which kitchen trends are out for 2025? Well, before you spend a dime, make sure you watch this video because I'm going to be breaking down the 15 kitchen trends on the way out in 2025, and I'm going to give you some tips on what to do instead. My name's Carrie. I'm a designer here at Penny Modern, and I recently posted a video on the 5 kitchen trends that are on the way out for 2025, and it did so well that I had to bring you 15 even more totally different trends on the way out so you don't waste your hard-earned money. Plus, I'm going to be ranking them all from the beginning to the ones that are the cheapest to fix all the way towards the end, which are the most expensive to fix, so don't miss that. Let's dive right in with one of the kitchen elements that you touch every single day. I am actually talking about your hardware, and this is one of the easiest and cheapest things to fix. But one of the things that I feel is on the way out in 2025 is matte black hardware in kitchens. Black hardware used to feel very bold, very modern, and very fresh. But now black poles are definitely everywhere, and even a lot of builders use them by default. A friend of mine recently swapped her matte black cabinet poles for an aged brass, and her kitchen instantly felt warmer and more expensive looking, all without touching the cabinets. What's trending now instead of matte black? Definitely a brass, aged brass, even a polished nickel, which is a shiny silver. Those are all very in style as well as classic timeless look. This next kitchen trend that even my kitchen is guilty of, that is on its way out for sure, is a visible microwave. So we are planning to fully gut remodel this kitchen because we just bought this home. And this is one of the things that we're definitely not going to have in our brand new kitchen. Having your microwave above your range has been around for quite some time as a way to save space and have all your cooking done in one area. There are a few problems. It really breaks up kind of the visual flow of your kitchen by having this big honking appliance above your range. And they also have some functionality issues, which I personally have the biggest problem with is the venting. Some of them don't have a vent to get all the smoke and grease away from your range. And also, if they do have a vent, it doesn't work very well. Having that visible microwave above your range especially can just scream builder basic, and it might be something you want to reconsider. So where should you put your microwave instead? Because a lot of us have them or need them in our kitchen, especially if you have little kids. What I did in our last kitchen is I bought a very small microwave and actually hid it inside of a pantry cabinet that I had a electrical outlet in. I also have some friends that have one just on their countertop in their kitchen, which obviously isn't ideal because today's modern kitchen designs are really all about having these unobstructed, clean, straight lines in your kitchen. So having any kind of visible microwave definitely can interrupt that. Now, another option is definitely doing a microwave drawer. A lot of people do those in their island. Those can be very expensive, and a lot of people don't like having to reach down for them. The other thing that you can do is have a appliance garage and put your microwave as well as your coffee maker, which appliance garage is basically a cupboard or a cabinet that actually extends all the way down onto your countertop. And then you'd have your microwave in there. Just make sure you put the appropriate electrical connection. If you're watching this because you're planning your own kitchen remodel, I've got a great free gift for you, and that is a kitchen remodel budget worksheet. So this basically has every single line item of things that you might need to spend money on for your kitchen remodel project. And that way you can build your budget, figure out how much it's gonna cost, and you can download this totally for free at pennymodern.com/kitchen, and the link is down in the description. Now let's talk about lighting, and in particular, those gigantic pendant lights that are hanging over people's kitchen islands and kitchen peninsulas. Look, I love a good statement piece and a great wow factor, and pendants can usually do that, but these really oversized pendant lights that are sometimes a little too big for the average kitchen can really cause some chaos. They can do things like blocking your sight lines. they also can just overwhelm a space, and they can also make the space feel imbalanced, and especially if they don't work with the proper scale of your kitchen. So what do I mean by the scale? If you have an average height home and the ceilings are an average height, meaning like maybe 8-foot ceilings, and you have these gigantic pendant lights, they're really gonna look kind of odd in your kitchen. Now, if you have a home that has cathedral ceilings, 20-foot ceilings, maybe even 10-foot ceilings, and you put those big pendant lights in there, that might make a lot more sense, but you have to have the height to support it. And some of these big giant pendant lights can look like a UFO, a flying saucer, or sometimes they can really give a restaurant vibe, where you know how you have in a fast food restaurant those lights that hang down and the food sits there and gets warm and stays warm under it. That's what they remind me of sometimes. Instead, you want to opt for the right size lighting, maybe something that's more of a glass lampshade instead of those big giant round metal ones, or something that's just right size for your space. They have really beautiful kind of ruffled or fluted glass pendants that look really amazing. There's also rattan lampshades that give a little bit of a coastal vibe or a boho vibe to your space. The fixture should definitely complement your kitchen, not compete with it. Let me know down in the comments below. Do you love an oversized pendant and you don't care what I say? Or are you liking something that's a little bit smaller or a little bit lower profile? Or maybe you're not opting for pendants anymore and doing a flush mount. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Now let's talk about something that I have contemplated using myself, and that is faux marble. You can get faux marble, which is just basically fake marble, right? Finishes for your kitchen in a variety of ways. So you can do everything from a peel and stick backsplash to a countertop, like a contact paper. You also can purchase faux marble actual countertops from places like IKEA. You even can paint your countertops to look like marble, which is definitely something I've contemplated doing while I'm living in this kitchen. I would say doing one element that's in a faux marble, if you're just trying to do a quick fix, a quick little makeover to your space, is fine. It's just when you have too much of it all over the place, that's when you're gonna start to look a little bit odd. And one of the things also is when people are choosing some of these ceramic tiles that have a faux marble pattern on them, the trap that you get into sometimes is sometimes on these cheaper tiles that are obviously more affordable, the pattern doesn't repeat enough times, so it looks obviously fake. And people are using these fake marble ceramic tiles all over their kitchen. So they're putting it on the floor, they're putting it on the wall, and sometimes they're even putting it on like a hood vent. So that's just too much. And to me, it just screams like a flipper did this, or somebody that doesn't really care that it looks unnatural and fake because that same pattern is repeated way too many times in a row. What should you do instead? If you want to do a ceramic tile, try to find a higher end one that has a more of a variety and a larger number of patterns in it, so you're not just repeating the same pattern over and over again in terms of the veining and stuff like that. Or you could do things like a quartz, or maybe something that looks like a terrazzo, and have some different options instead of just trying to get that fake marble look. This next one is something that's been hanging on way too long, and that is an ornate tiled backsplash. These are tiny tiles, Moroccan prints, backsplashes, busy geometric patterns. These were all the rage for years, but now they can make your kitchen look instantly dated and overly done. What should you do instead? A lot of people are definitely choosing to have their countertop material go up into the backsplash. So that is definitely one option. The other thing you can do is just choose a very simple pattern or a solid color for your backsplash tile, even a simple subway tile that's a solid color. Again, those are more of a solid tile that have a handcrafted look to them. And if you do choose a subway, you can always lay it in an interesting pattern. And those are a few alternatives to using a very busy or patterned mosaic tile. This next one may stir up some memories, and this is something that is the built-in kitchen desk. This used to be called a homemaker's desk. back in the day. These are those built-in desks that are shoved into a corner or a portion, especially of a larger kitchen that has a drawer underneath. It has the countertop that's the same as the rest of your kitchen, and there's obviously space underneath in order for you to put a little stool or a chair. Here is the problem with those desks. A lot of them just become dumping ground for junk and stuff, and they become not very useful, and they become an eyesore because they become this cluttered, messy dumping ground. That is the problem. A lot of people don't even use them as an actual desk to do actual work. And people, they don't really need a desk in their kitchen anymore. They do need more storage. So that's what I would suggest instead, is to put traditional cabinetry in that spot. And if you're not 100% sure what to do with that space, maybe you have a very large kitchen. One thing that's becoming extremely popular right now is actually a coffee bar or coffee station. So that's something that you could turn that space into, is a beautiful coffee bar. This next one is one that a lot of us have had an issue if you've bought a house with a dated kitchen, and that is knotty pine or orangey oak or even a honey oak cabinetry. You know the ones, super golden, super visible knots and rings and things like that, and the grains are super visible. And these look like they're straight out of the 70s or 80s. These orangey oak and knotty pine are just not in line with the muted, more natural looking wood tones that people are really embracing these days. Today's kitchens are definitely opting for lighter, more neutral, more muted wood tones, more mid-range, more light. White oak obviously is very popular, as well as things like a maple. People want just those more muted tones, and they also want a more zen-like vibe to their kitchen. And the reason why is a lot of people want to combine some of those natural wood tones that are really getting popular these days with something that's like a stone or obviously a quartz. A lot of people are embracing using actual real stone veneers on parts of their kitchen, and having that stone and wood look like you would see in nature is definitely what is trending more these days. But if you have a honey oak or an orangey oak or knotty pine, don't worry, it is actually an easy fix because you can always paint your cabinets and you change the way they look. You can get your cabinets professionally painted or do it yourself like I did. I did this for probably less than $300, and it was very easy, and I did it over a few hours in a weekend. This next one came in hot when farmhouse and modern farmhouse were all the rage, and that is faux distressed cabinetry. We're talking about using glazes as well as uneven wear and hand scraped paint. This is a whole vibe that says, I sanded this with a chainsaw. Look, I get it. You're trying to add some charm, or maybe you're trying to have some personality to your space. But in 2025, kitchens are moving towards much more clean, simple finishes. That faux distressed look to your cabinetry definitely just says, I'm trying for a theme, and it feels overly staged and frankly a little bit dusty and tired. Instead, if you are painting your cabinets, go for a very smooth matte finish. Try to avoid the glossy, because again, that's actually going out of style too. So do a matte finish, and there's no need to distress it yourself. Just put the paint on and let it speak for itself. Now let's talk about something that looks amazing on Pinterest, because I know you use it and I do too, but it might not look that great, especially over time and in real life, and that is bold colored cabinetry. A lot of us love those bold colors like navy blue cabinetry or maybe a forest green, but especially if you have a very large kitchen, having that color up in your face all the time can get tired and old. These bold color choices are definitely high impact, but they're also high commitment. And guess what? People are already getting sick of them. If you absolutely want a bold color in your kitchen, here is a way and a tip that you can use to embrace this color, but without becoming sick of it by having too much of it. You can use that bold color just on the island cabinetry and have the rest of your kitchen be a more neutral or white color. You also could choose that bold color for something that's just maybe the lower cabinets and have your uppers a neutral or a white. And if you do have bold color in your kitchen, it's not that hard to fix it. You always can paint it yourself or hire a painter, and you're looking at a fix in the hundreds of dollars or maybe the low thousands if you want to change out that color. Now let's talk about something that is a pet peeve of mine, and that would be overly themed kitchen. This would be if you have a complete Tuscany theme to your kitchen, or maybe you have the farmhouse kitchen with wagon wheels and old-time lanterns as well as the eat sign, or maybe you have a beach themed kitchen and it's nowhere near any kind of a body of water. It's not that you can't embrace a vibe or a feeling of the beach or being in Tuscany. You just don't want every single element of your kitchen to be in that type of vein. So you don't want to have every single item in the kitchen reflects that farmhouse aesthetic, because it really starts to look like a TV show set or maybe a themed room, and that's not what you want to go for here. You could instead just embrace some of the elements from that theme. So if you love a beachy or coastal theme, you could use sandy tones, linen textures, and not just starfish everything. This next one is definitely a trend that is extremely hot, and I am seeing it everywhere in the home, not just kitchens, and that would be a fluted paneling or any kind of a fluted finish or slatted paneling, and especially if it is near your cook zone. So I am seeing these fluted range hoods, and I think these are a terrible idea. I can't help it, people. I just imagine all the grease, hair, dust getting stuck in those flutes, and how are you even going to clean it? You would have to get a toothbrush. I would definitely say you do not want to embrace this trend anywhere near your cooking zone of having those fluted or slatted panels. Now, you can embrace this trend in other areas. So if you really love it, I would personally get it in a furniture piece that maybe is something that's not built in. And that way, if it does fall out of style, which I am sure it will because it's just everywhere right now, you can easily change that out someday. Maybe you get a pantry cabinet or a buffet cabinet that's not a built-in one that has some of that fluting in it, or maybe the slatted panels or doors, and that is a way that you can embrace that trend, but it's not permanently affixed to your home. What is your take on fluting and slatted paneling? Do you think it's here to stay, or do you think it's on the way out as well as I do? So let's hear it down in the comments below. Let's debate what we think about these fluted finishes that we're seeing everywhere in 2025. This next one also might be controversial, and this is all about smart kitchen technology and smart kitchen appliances. I think that we've gotten a little bit out of control on this one. We have Wi-Fi enabled refrigerator as well as a range in our home, and I can tell you personally, I don't really use most of the functionality, and I see all kinds of, especially the smart fridges with the screens, and I feel like that is going to be technology that's going to get dated and it's not going to work very well after a few years. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. I do like my smart oven because if I am not home and somebody is using it, it does send me alerts. So that is good in terms of my safety and keeping everybody safe at the house. But in terms of the refrigerator, I don't really think we need to have Wi-Fi enabled refrigerators. There's also things like a touch faucet or a Wi-Fi enabled faucet or a voice control faucet. And these things can just get glitchy. They also can use a lot of power or need to have battery packs. And then the technology can get old and it just starts not working after a while. Instead of just getting a Wi-Fi enabled appliance or gadget just for the sake of getting it, why don't you do something that's like a smart upgrade that actually makes your life easier? This would be maybe motion activated lighting. For example, getting the light strips that are under your toe kicks to add some ambiance to your kitchen that are motion activated. That would be a very smart upgrade that doesn't cost a lot of money. And then also soft closed doors and drawers. Those are going to be a smart and as well as functional upgrade to your kitchen. And then you could even get something that's very tech savvy, which would be those induction cooktops. So those are becoming more popular. You do have to get the right type of pots and pans that are induction enabled, and you can use those induction cooktops to add some smart technology to your place and also keep those smooth, clean lines if you want that ultra modern look. I'm curious, have you had any issues with smart kitchen appliances? I personally have had an issue with our touch faucet. It basically stopped working unless it was not plugged in and it only ran on batteries. But I'm curious to hear what your experiences are, if you've had any funny stories or nightmare experiences with any smart technology in your kitchen. Let me know down in the comments below. This next one is definitely very popular, and that would be these custom range hoods. But the range hoods that I'm talking about that are definitely on the way out in 2025 are ones that are very ornate, very traditional, kind of scroll work on them or corbels, and they're looking like they should be in a Tuscan style kitchen and not in today's modern kitchen. These very traditional, very ornate, custom range hoods, they used to be all the rage in luxury kitchens. But now they feel way too fussy and they really don't go with the more modern and clean lines that today's kitchens have. A lot of people are choosing more clean lines for their range hoods. They're also doing an integrated range hood that's hidden inside cabinetry, or they're doing a very boxy plain shape, or they're doing a plaster range hood that is completely covered in plaster. But if your range hood looks like it belongs in a palace or on the hills of Tuscany instead of in today's modern kitchen, you might want to think twice and potentially think about replacing it. This next one is the peninsula or the island that is actually a two-tiered or dual-tiered island or peninsula. And that is where you have a top tier here that's a bar height that you would have a bar height stool next to, and then you have a lower tier that's more counter height. These split level islands and peninsulas, they definitely break up your work zone, and they also break up the visual flow, and they limit how much usable space you have for your work zone. In 2025, we definitely want to have a single level island or peninsula that's all one level, not two tiers, and it's all at counter height. And that's gonna give you the ability to do work on it in terms of kitchen prep work, as well as have your entertaining space. And if you're thinking about doing a makeover on your kitchen and maybe just replacing your countertops, if you have that split level, it is relatively easy to just get rid of that second level and just replace the countertop and not have to replace all your cabinetry. And that's gonna really modernize and update your space. And this one is one of the most expensive ones to fix. And that is if you have a dropped ceiling, like I do, but with fluorescent lighting in it. Now we have a skylight here, thank goodness, but this easily could have been a fluorescent light because our kitchen is in a home that was basically from the 80s and 90s as the last time anybody updated this kitchen. Having those drop ceilings and that giant fluorescent light in your kitchen can really make it not very functional because the light is all overhead and from one source, and it's very unflattering. It can also make your kitchen feel very small and cramped because you have that drop ceiling. This fix can cost thousands to fix depending on what you decide to do. So if you're talking about completely removing your drop ceiling and opening up the ceiling and raising the ceiling, that can be very expensive. You can just remove that fluorescent light and add can lights and maybe some pendant lights and kind of transform your space just through updating the lighting and getting rid of that big fluorescent light. And let me know in the comments, is your kitchen a victim of any of these trends? It's totally fine if it is, because mine is. I've got the visible microwave right here, plus a variety of other things that are dirtying my kitchen, like the granite. So it's totally okay to want to make some changes, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you guys. And don't forget, you can get your kitchen budgeting worksheet at pennymodern.com/kitchen and get your copy today. And if you want even more kitchen design ideas as well as kitchen trends, make sure you watch this next video right here, and I'll see you in that next video.